Well, my friends, I wanted to make a comment about the Manny Pacquiao and Chris Algieri fight. It was an interesting fight, but I think he was running too much. They get hit as usual, and they start running, and when they tried all the tricks and all this stuff, Manny just clocks him. He was elusive. This guy elusive. Even you gotta give it to him. He was elusive, but he was overmatched. I think the whole the fight, all the fights and the preliminaries and stuff. The matchmaker was horrible. Whoever they hired as a matchmaker was a loser. They put people in there that were really, it was they wasn't even competitive with the guy who fought Lomachenko. Now you got to give it to Lomachenko. This guy he's a real prodigy. I had not looked at him fighting before too much, just a little on tape and stuff like that. But I saw the fight, and he makes people look bad, man. He punches in some weird angles. Let me tell you something. This Lomachenko guy, Vasily Lomachenko, pay attention to this guy. This guy is a murderer. This in a methodical murderer. He uses European, Russian boxing. He's really straight. He doesn't wing it. He doesn't wing his punches. They're like he's like a machine when he throws them. He throws perfect punches. He's got a nasty. He's a southpaw. He moves a lot and he's fast. He's got head movement. He's hard to hit. He's got good training and stamina. He's got lots of power. I don't think he's, like a one. He can be, but one punch knockout artist. But he is brutal in his technique. He throws us a nasty, really short uppercut with like 45-degree angle hooks. Those are pretty in a row, in combinations. This guy is going to be champion in a few world divisions. Probably 3 easy. He's gonna kick some ass everywhere. But they didn't match him right with this guy. The guy was a durable, tough guy and everything. But I don't know. Maybe I was not having a good night, and I didn't really enjoy all the fights. People said that Manny didn't look as accurate, but you gotta understand this guy he was fighting was a really good boxer, and he had good defense. A long, tall guy that basically barely made the weight, and not because it wasn't trained. I think because this guy belongs in a different. He should be at 154. He looks dead at the weight as far as, when his eyes look like he worked his ass off. Fighters when they all get older a little, they start developing more weight and stuff like that, and it's hard for them to make weight, so they got to go up. I think he was in shape. The guy was in shape. He was ready, and Manny hit him with good punches. Not as many as I thought, because he kept swinging, he kept twisting, he was really hard. He got on his bicycle and ran. Some people say, "Oh, Manny looked too awkward. He can't hit anybody." It's like, you go try it. Ask Provodnikov to see how hard it was to hit. He hit Algieri with everything he had. And Algieri and Provodnikov is not a fucking joke. Provodnikov that guy is a fucking murderer, fucking Siberian kid. He is a slugger, and he hits people. And he in my opinion, beat Bradley. I think he beat him. And, you don't beat Bradley unless you're a fucking monster. And he beat this guy. He beat Ruslan Provodnikov. He couldn't hit him after the first couple of rounds. So Manny didn't fight. He looked awkward because the guy is awkward. And even though the guy is awkward, he knocked his ass down 6 times during the fight. So in this perfect, I love it. It's perfect because what's going to happen is, maybe Floyd Mayweather will finally take his chicken costume off and fight Manny Pacquiao, because he'll probably think, this guy doesn't look, he's not dangerous. Look at him. He's throwing punches and missing, and, he looks really awkward and looks very hittable. That will be great. I want Floyd Mayweather to think that. I want him to think that shit, so he can get in the ring and do his high shoulder guard and fucking roll and wait till he tries that long catch and shoot with his right hand when he backs off. He backs off like that and then catches, because Manny's just gonna clock him and fuck him up with that little short left hand he throws that he can knock out a fucking elephant with it. That little left hand is going to land on Floyd Mayweather's chin, and he won't even know what the fuck hit him. That's what's going to happen. And if he ever grows a fucking sack and puts his balls, in between his legs instead of his fucking ass, maybe we'll have ourselves a feast of a fight. I doubt he's got the balls to fight Manny Pacquiao anyways, But hey, some guys are like that. It will be stupid. It will be a $90 million fight. If they make it happen, because I don't think people are tired of Floyd Mayweather and his bullshit. They really are. And his arrogance, and because there are people who are flashy and boasty and stuff, and they do it because they promote themselves as fighting for the fights and as a brand. And I understand marketing, that's marketing 101, baby. But this guy really is a bad seed when it comes. He's hurt boxing with all his manipulation and all his bullshit. He is really not good for the sport. I don't think so, because when you have that level of talent and conditioning and you choose to run and hold for an entire fight against a guy who doesn't have a third of your skills as far as boxing, and all he's got is balls and fucking punching power like Marcos Maidana did. I think Marcos Maidana won the first fight. I don't care what anybody says. I saw him win the fight. I think ShowBox numbers were full of shit. They were not counting. I think when you hit somebody in the arms, it counts, and it does hurt. And if you've ever been hit in the arms with a punch, it hurts like a motherfucker sometimes. Sometimes I've seen my coach, and when I was, fighting just for fun, he dislocated somebody dislocated his shoulder with a punch. You have to count those. Not just because they get blocked. Sometimes you hurt some. Julio Cesar Chavez used to hurt people, hitting them on the shoulders and the biceps, and on the top part of the funny bone, on the arms all the time. He made them drop their hands by hitting them in the arm, and it's a legal shot. It needs to be counted. So I think he won that first fight. Maidana did, and on the second fight, Floyd did what Floyd does best: run, hold, and puck shot. Grab and grab and grab, and then Kenny Bayless didn't do shit. They should have penalized him for holding. I don't know how many times he held, but he must have held probably like 50 or 60 times during the entire fight. I don't care what, that's a fucking foul. Okay, this is not wrestling. So it's boxing. Yes, it is. It's not wrestling. It's not the UFC where you can grab people and all night long. You're supposed to know. This is boxing. You do excessive grabbing like Floyd did in the last fight, and he needs to you lose a point. you know. So, and you keep losing it if you don't stop, you know. So I think if they get a good referee, Mayweather and Pacquiao, if they get a good referee that does not favor Floyd and does not let Floyd grab all the time, you know, and Floyd decides to fight and doesn't run like the pussy he is. And by the way, Marcos Maidana hurt him in the 6th round of the first fight. Watch the fight. He hurt him with a body shot. And Floyd Mayweather actually fought the first fight. You know, he actually fought. You know, he comes out bitching, calling Marcos Maidana a dirty fighter. One of the dirtiest fighters I've ever seen fighting is called Floyd Mayweather. Elbowing. He uses the tape on his gloves to scratch people's eyes. He hits them here on the Adam's apple. You know, he grabs them and cranks their neck underneath. He hits in the back. You know, he does all kind of nasty shit. So I don't, him crying, he's a crybaby. It just doesn't surprise me. But Manny Pacquiao and Algieri. Notice I didn't even talk about the Algieri fight. I think he shouldn't have. Algieri shouldn't have stepped up there, you know. But hey, you know, we gotta give props to Algieri for having the balls to stop, get up there, man, and try to make it a fight. You know, he ran a little bit too much, but I think in this case he could not pull the trigger. He was this man. He's too fast. Too much power. The only chance he had in that fight was to make it a brawl, and he chose to box outside with Manny, thinking that his being tall and his stature his height would help him and reach, and none of that helps, because when Manny's got really fast legs and fast arms and power, so. You know, he made the wrong choice. He should have gotten inside with him and made it a brawl. That's the only way he had a chance. I don't think he would have. Manny would have probably knocked him out, but you know, he probably would have landed more punches. You never know. You start using the your body leaning on Manny, try to get him tired, but you try to box with him. It's hard, man. It's hard. So anyways, let's see if they make the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight happen, and I'll be all over that. But until then, I'm not buying any Mayweather fights, unless he fights Cotto. But, you know, they're not going to fight. Cotto, well, he's not going to fight. Cotto, he needs to fight Manny. We're done with Mayweather if he doesn't fight Manny. All right, have a good night.